Presidency releases 42 billion naira to clear part of backlog of pensions. Just as Nigerians are assured of unity of purpose between the executive and legislature to deepen democracy. Plus, intensified education on meningitis. These are more on today's Panorama. I am Ogwa Vivian Ungedibia. The presidency has released the sum of 42 billion naira to clear part of the backlog of pension from 2014 to 2016. The ministers of Budget and National Planning and Finance stated this while addressing members of the House of Representatives. The ministers announced that the president has directed the immediate setting up of a committee that will take a holistic look at the challenges of Nigerian pensioners.
The two ministers reiterated the commitment of President Muhammadu Buhari to find a lasting solution to the challenges of Nigerian pensioners. The ministers noted that the issue of salaries and pension remains a priority on the president's list.
So he has directed that a committee headed by the Minister of Finance should meet with all the relevant agencies, reconcile all the numbers.
They explained that apart from being an inherited problem, the need to reconcile the pension figures from PENCOM and that of Budget Office is another challenge.
Yesterday we released the sum of 42 billion to clear all the arrears. Everything that has been appropriated up to date has now been paid. I also would like to tell you that PATAD are completely up to date.
Executive at all time must look at those laws that are backing up their operations and see those areas that need amendment.
And because when the president speaks, he speaks from his heart, not from his head. And since he has directed the ministers that they must solve this problem, I believe this problem will be solved. This House will not accept any excuse.
And to a word of national honors, where members passed for second reading a bill seeking to subject the nominees to Senate screening, sponsored by the Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business, Emmanuel Okejeff, and two others.
And for stipulating the requirements, the conditions to be met before such award could be made.
This award is given to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. It's not supposed to be the case.
The House has mandated its Committee on Healthcare Services to invite the Minister of Health to brief it on efforts to curb the scourge of meningitis in Nigeria, as moved by Representative Johnson Oguma from Edo State. Members passed 3 bills for third reading. This included a bill for an act to provide for personal data protection to regulate the processing of information relating to individuals. The report of the House Committee on Land Transport and others on a bill for an act to establish the National Transport Commission was adopted. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The determination of the Buhari presidency to develop the Niger Delta region is generating lots of excitement, especially consideration for the modular refinery as panacea to illegal refinery, as the private sector commits to working hand in hand with the federal government. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, while receiving a delegation of the Panorama oil and gas producing communities, said there is no going back in government's plans to improve in the region. State House correspondent Jide Onifade has details.
Commenting the initiative of the people in supporting the actualization of government's plans, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said all modular refineries to be established must be profitable and realistic in order to address critical issues bordering on the development of the region. The Vice President told the delegation from the Panorama Oil and Gas Producing Trust Fund and the prospective investor in the Panorama Modular Refinery project that the federal government was committed in addressing challenges in the Niger Delta in a comprehensive manner. Under the plan that is being developed, communities would come together working with their respective state government, the federal government, and private sector operators to work out a template for the establishment of modular refineries in the communities.
Now that there's a political will to do the right thing, we came here to provide the document to show that we are the model. There's now an opportunity to develop our degraded environment and turning the fortune round. The issue of illegal refinery will be over.
We saw it today, which is a dedication for the Vice President that the government is ready and willing to assist in any which way that is business-like, that transparent, as we can see here.
Proposed Baramatu Modular Refinery project is expected to produce 20,000 barrels per day. Earlier, at an interministerial meeting, issues including developments on the planning for the Maritime University, contractors returning to site, and amnesty issues were, among others, discussed. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NT News.
The Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, Senator Itai Enang, has confirmed that there is neither tension nor anything unusual in the relationship between the executive and the legislature in the discharge of their responsibilities for public good. This was a news briefing at the State House. Adamu Sambo reports.
Senator Solomon Itai Enang described as false, unfounded and baseless the uninformed insinuation in some quarters that the relationship between the executive and the legislature is frosty.
I am here to again confirm to you that the relationship between the executive and the legislature is all and very, very perfect, cordial, constitutional, and in all manners usual. And the relationship between His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Buhari, and the Senate President, Senator Bukola Saraki, is perfect and cordial, personal and official. They are working together, they are in harmony, and they hold consultations on most issues before it arises.
He said even the minor disagreements over the conduct of some presidential nominees and appointees have been addressed with a no-holds-barred interaction between the president and the presiding officers of the National Assembly, as well as between the National Working Committee of the APC and the ruling party's caucus in the parliament.
At any time that you will find the legislature hands in gloves with the executive, without the executive raising question at the legislature or the legislature raising question at the executive, then the public should be worried. Each of them is to check the other. And when this checks arises, that is when the public sometimes feel that there is tension. Absolutely, there is no tension.
Senator Itai Enang takes pride in the fact that so far, members of the executive have been very cooperative and constitutional in dealing with the legislature, following their understanding that the job of the parliamentarians is to reflect the opinions of the people they represent in the course of lawmaking. In all manners, he said, President Buhari has followed the process of the Constitution, and at no time his actions are at variance with the wishes of the legislature. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Well, following some of losses in the court on corruption cases, the federal government on Wednesday this week filed an appeal against the decision of Justice Jude Okeke to uphold the no-case submission in the corruption case against Justice Adeniyi Ademola, Mrs. Olabowale Ademola, and Mr. Joe Agi. The Ministry of Justice has also filed a fresh case in the Code of Conduct Tribunal against Justice Ademola and wife for living above their means and failure to declare the assets. The presidency has therefore appealed what it described as a very strange outcome, considering the underlying facts. It is even more strange that the trial was not allowed to continue, considering the applicable statutory provision. Section 53, subsection 1 of the ICPC Act raises a presumption that any gratification accepted or obtained by an accused person must have been corruptly accepted or obtained until the contrary is proved. Section 60 of the Act does not apply to the case. Of interest in the decision of the trial judge that the offense of giving and receiving gratification was made out by the prosecution against the defendants in the face of the evidence held in court. Prosecution witnesses gave testimony of the payment of 30 million naira in 3 tranches by Mr. Joe Agi into the account of Mrs. Olabowale Ademola, the wife of Justice Ademola. While not condemning the judgment of the learned trial judge, the ruling, however, failed to address the relevance of Section 53 of the ICPC Act, which raised the presumption of corruption in respect of gratification in question. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, however, cleared the air that this development is not in any way points to a rift between the executive and the judiciary, but to put the law in proper perspective. Moving on now, the Food and Agriculture Organization is to launch $20 million support program for 2017 wet season farming in northeast Nigeria. This is coming as over 170,000 dry season farmers are receiving inputs, irrigation equipment, and livestock support in the region. Musa Baba Ali reports.
55 years old Bunyamin Yamani is one of the thousands of farmers who were displaced by activities of insurgents in Jere local government area of Borno State. He says for the past 3 years, farming activities were crippled in the area, turning producers of food items to beggars.
Most of them have left this place. Last 2 years, you cannot see anybody here.
Violence is now over. Peace has returned. And for the displaced farming communities to be able to go back to their agricultural activities, they will need farming equipment such as irrigation facilities, inputs, and chemicals. In response to these needs, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, is supporting over 170,000 farmers with input and irrigation facilities during the ongoing dry season farming activities.
The rainy season, we reached some 146,000 people for the rainy season, and for the dry season 2016-2017, we have reached some 174,000 people.
The beneficiaries of the support say they were able to produce substantial amount of food that will take care of their needs. One major concern is mines and explosives that may be buried on farmlands, and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations says it is collaborating with all relevant security agencies to ensure that all farming communities are free from explosives. From Maiduguri, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. It's time to pause for some messages now. NTA Panorama continues after this timeout. Stay tuned.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Thank you for staying tuned. Ongoing efforts to reposition the economy on a sound footing under the Muhammadu Buhari administration will soon be felt by all strata of the society. Presidential spokesman Femi Adesina expressed this optimism while playing host to a delegation of the National Association of Nigerian Students led by its grand patron Eze Ebere. Femi Adesina told his guests that the vision to diversify the economy will no longer be mere rhetorics, but that reality will be the watchword. He said the president's purposeful drive, single-mindedness and simplicity in approaching issues will put an end to break the jinx of a mono economy. He, however, shared the feelings of Mr. President with the student body on the unstable price of oil at the international market, which has resulted in the slow pace of development. The grand patron of the National Association of Nigerian Students, Eze Ebere, commended the president's courage in fighting corruption and the victory over insurgency in the Northeast. Talking sports now, Nigeria's Super Eagles move upward in the latest FIFA rankings as international sports organizations commemorate 2017 International Day of Sport for Development and Peace. Tamara Ebiwe has details on Sports Update.